Yo guys, what's up? It's Inflexxius. Today we're playing Jackson to Quinn top. Pretty bad matchup for Jax, one of his worst in my opinion. But you know what? It's fine. So, Quinn is emote spamming out of the bush and then face checks us. So, activate the E, land the stun, stay in front of her so she can't E to safety so we can get as many auto attacks as possible. Get the grass bottle, that illegal grass bottle off. And now we're trying to push that advantage, right? We got half of her health there. So let's stay in front of this, stay in the tri-bush here and try to cheese her, right? Except she's in our front bush for some reason. So we walk like this to cut her off. Start auto-attacking her as many times as we can while trying to stay in front of her. She does manage to get away, the fleet footwork giving her the movement speed to get in front of us. I messed up there though, I could have walked at a better angle to be further in front of her when we met. And also I should have activated my E earlier. So, this matchup is a whole lot of taking as little harass as possible while getting as much CS as possible, right? To that end, we go second wind D shield to help mitigate some of the harass. Start E level 1 so that you can use it to block some auto attacks while you're going for some CS, because starting Q doesn't work versus Quinn. Like, you can't, jumping on her and trying to fight her level 1 doesn't work because she just eats you and messes you up. Basically play super safe until level 3, where you can start doing where you can start QWing onto her. That's the best way I found to play the matchup, is to QW onto her to get that damage off, and then when she E's you, you counter-strike to mitigate the damage that the auto attacks she's going to try to retaliate with to equalize the trade. So here we jump on her head, see, and then we use our E to counter some of the damage, right? Now, what Quinns will usually do is they will, instead of auto-attacking you into your E randomly because they'll be doing 0 damage into it, right? What they'll usually do is they will try to walk as close as possible to you without being in your E range, so that they can get as many auto attacks off as possible onto you. So you can try to step back into them when they do that, and if you land the stun then you can really mess them up in that trade. And that's where, that's how this matchup is, spacing comes into handy. You see, look, there, I walk towards her for a second with the E to make her back off, and then I walk back, so that I don't take more autos than I need to. Now, I backed on 600 gold here, and I bought a longsword refillable. I don't know why I did that, but to anyone else, I'd say that in that scenario, you should get Boots Cloth Armor, because Boots Cloth Armor lets you get closer to your plated steel caps. It's the fastest way to your plated steel caps, and if the enemy comp allows for it, plated steel caps is the best item you can rush into Quinn. And this game, the enemy comp does allow for it, right? They have Aurelia, they have Caitlyn, and they have Quinn, 3 auto-attack based champions that plated steel caps is going to work great into, right? So here, wave is crashing into us again. So she doesn't have her E, right? She used it to CS a minion. Anytime Quinn can't use her E, either whether it's on cooldown or she doesn't have enough mana to use it, you jump on her head and with E and you can brutalize her. Now, usually, you can't just jump on her head with E, by starting your E and then jumping on her head with Q. Usually that doesn't work, because when you start channeling your E, you need to wait a second before you can jump on them, so that you can release your E, right? And in that second, while that second is going on, you're basically telling the Quinn, I'm about to jump on you right now, right? And that lets them get ready to basically E you mid-Q if the Quinn is good. So that's why I'm not doing that trade pattern. Because if you try it and it doesn't work, then Quinn can really mess you up in the trade, because then you have no counter-strike, no Q, and you can get really messed up. So here we jump onto the Quinn because she has no E. She didn't have enough mana for E. I tried to stay in front of her, but she managed to get past me. I ward hop here for some reason. I should just be shoving the wave because she's going to back here probably. But I messed up there actually. I should have just focused on staying in front of her there until my Q came back, and then I should have used and then I could have let her get in front of me, and then if she E's me, I Q onto her and kill her. But here, she doesn't have enough mana for E, so we can just kind of walk her off the tower, right? Zone her off of the XP and get some plates for ourselves. At this point, she has enough mana for E though, so if we jump on her under tower now, she's just going to E us, and then it's going to get really ugly. So, just let the wave push back to us. We don't want to chain shove, right? Because chain shoving, she's just going to get to free farm and free sustain with her fleet footwork. At this point, I thought that she left, so I just hard shoved. But what she was actually doing was just using her fleet footwork to heal off of the Krugs. For those of you who don't know, fleet footwork heals more off of jungle camps than they do off of minions, right? So, Quinn was just going back to the Krugs to heal off, get maximum value out of her fleet footwork. So if she is ever below 50 mana, we can E onto her. Or, no, sorry, if she is ever below 50 mana, she cannot E, so we can Q onto her, because E costs 50 mana. So we're looking for that. Echo tries for some weird dive here. I should have been pinging Echo to dive a while ago, to be honest. What he should have done was go catch the wave, and then we can just dive when the next creep wave gets here. But instead, Echo just kind of W's the tower and calls that, you know, he pats himself on the back. Good job for that gank, you know. So we just shove the wave in here. It's pushing a bit too hard towards her. Jump on her head. E towards her, E back. She comes just a little bit too close. We walk back into her, we land the E. And we can kill her because she's low in health. And that's what I was talking about, right? Walking back into her to land that E. Unfortunately, we weren't paying attention and Aurelia was here, so we use our counter strike to limit damage. She Qs away. We Q away as she Qs away so that we Q away as before she can Q back onto us so that we can get away. And yeah, we just barely live that. We get our plated steel caps, coal fields, and ruby crystal. I don't like going Sheen into Quinn because you can pretty much never auto-attack her before she eases you. So the Sheen auto-attack never really comes into play. So I prefer to just go flat AD/health. And the ability haste from the coal fields is nice. Aurelia has no stacks, so we win this fight really hard. Aurelia is not that much of a champion without her stacks. We wait for our Q to come back before we E onto her. So that we can jump on her while the E's up. We try to get a quick trade onto the Quinn here. I was hoping maybe Zed could do something, but nothing. But you know, he didn't have any abilities, so it's fine. I don't mind taking a trade there though because I have red buff. I'm going to heal it up. Unfortunately, I really don't expect Quinn to get back to lane that quickly. Like I underestimate her movement speed on the bird. Here I don't want to back though because I'm really close to my Divine Sunder, and then she just overextends. I should be attack moving here. I land the W auto, and here I'm really close to her, so I can go for the EQ. I stay in front of her so that she has to E away from her tower if she wants to E me. I walked up there while I was blinded because that was the only direction she could go to try to escape. I get the plate here so that we can have our Divine Sunderer. And now we're in a really good spot, right? We have our Divine Sunderer. We're fairly ahead of the Quinn. Quinn goes a mid, makes a play on the mid tower with Herald. So we can go here and shut it down. Take out the Diana and the Quinn. And that's the thing here, right? Quinn went for a Psycho Roam here, a Psycho play with the Herald, and that's what Quinns will do, right? If you are ahead of the Quinn in lane, and if you're ahead of the Quinn, you can't really freeze, you can't ever really freeze versus Quinn, because the thing is, if they ever fall behind in lane, they always have the option to use their really powerful roaming capabilities to pressure your team, right? And they just kind of coin flip roams, and that's going to make the game very hard for your team, and if you can't punish, right, because you're freezing, then that's not great, right? When Quinn roams, you need to be taking plates for it. Here we can just force the tower off of her because we're so far ahead. At this point, I'm thinking maybe I can just EQ onto her if she gets into range. Just try it, right? Because what's the worst that can happen? So I jump on her here, and it actually works out. And at this point, I'm doubting myself, right? Because, you know, usually you can't do that versus Quinn in lane. Because she'll, like I said, EU mid-Q. But if that Quinn failed that time to avoid it, right? Then I'm wondering, could I have been doing that trade pattern to her in the lane the whole time? Because if I could, the lane becomes, like, a lot easier. The only reason I did it there was because it was very high reward, low risk. Because if I land it, I kill her. And if I don't land it, I take a little bit of damage. So here I jump onto the Caitlyn. She drops the trap, but I don't see where it is. So I walk right on top of it. I could have flashed over the trap there and gotten onto her and probably killed her, but I didn't know where her team was, right? I didn't want to flash into 4 of them. So we just keep shoving the wave down here, keep the pressure on, lock Caitlyn in lane, we can take Grumps, we can... When you're split pushing like this, right, against something that's like going to play super safe, you can just look for things like Grumps or rotations, right? I'm locking Caitlyn into the lane, so I'm always going to have first rotation to every fight. Now, unfortunately, the whole team dies here, which is not great. Honestly, I could probably go aggressive here, block the Caitlyn ult. Honestly, I could probably have gone into the Quinn there. She didn't have E, and she was in my E range, so I could probably just ult into there and killed her. And maybe killed the rest of them as well. But I was playing it safe there. But maybe. I get Frozen Heart here, because They have three, same reason I got the plated steel caps, they have three auto attack based champions on their team, and Frozen Heart is really good into auto attack based melee champions. I jump onto the Quinn, I want to fight her now, right? I have my Frozen Heart and my Divine Thunder, but their whole team is here, right? So I have to flash out immediately. Because if that Caitlyn trap lands, I'm dead. And thank goodness there's a Blast Cone here, otherwise things could have been very awkward. The other really nice thing about Frozen Heart is that it gives you 40 ability, gets you up to the 40 ability haste breakpoint. And the thing is, versus Quinn, if you have plated steel caps, Divine Thunder, and 40 ability haste, then you can fight her in the side lane pretty effectively, right? Even if she's slightly ahead of you. Because it gives you that, the shorter cooldown on your Q to be able to re-engage on her after she eases off of you. Now, unfortunately, our bot lane got caught here. So a fight breaks out here and it is not going our way because our Soraka and then Jhin dropped. Here Aurelia checks us, face checks us. I get CC'd by everything and decide to disengage here. Aurelia ults us, so we don't want to run through her ult, so we're going to stall for our E, stun her, walk away. She misses her E on us, that's fine. So now we want to reset, right? So there's a pink in the dragon bush here, but I don't really want to TP to that because their team pretty much has control of that area, right? And I don't want to get CC'd and one-shot when I come out of my TP. But honestly, I was considering the pink there, but I wasted so much time. I should have TP'd to the Jhin trap here as soon as I had enough health to. Like I wasted so much time here, so maybe I could have saved Echo if I TP'd earlier. We don't get punished too hard for it, like Echo dies, I guess. Which is not ideal, but yeah. So I messed up a little bit there, but it's fine. So we take Scuttle here, back to bot lane. Keep the pressure on, keep the waves pushed in, right? We want this wave to be up against their tower at all times. And, you know, we go straight into Gromp here. Now, we really ease onto the Gromp and we managed to get it. And we win this fight, actually, so we can keep fighting her here. Except, suddenly, two ults from their bot lane just show up, and suddenly we're not winning the fight anymore, so it's time to leave. Aurelia flashes and E's, misses the E. And you know what? That's super fine. That's super good. Because that gets us Aurelia flash for free, right? We can shove this wave out here because Soraka healed us up enough to be able to shove the wave out. And we start working towards our Spear of Shojin, which is some more ability haste. Good into their team. Shorter E cooldowns are really nice to assist in reducing the damage from their auto attacks. And shorter Q cooldowns allow us to stick on their squishier targets. So we just keep the pressure on here. Shove this in here. And Caitlyn's holding us here bot side, right? Which is why it's so surprising that they managed to just sneak Baron off of us. So at this point we want to be top side, right? Because that's where that's the opposite side of the next objective that is spawning, which is Dragon. However, Zed is running top lane immediately. Like, Zed is already top lane. And it's going to mess up our team's macro if I have to go and force Zed off of his lane and then he needs to come down here, right? So if one of your teammates goes to the wrong lane, macro-wise, you just have to go to the suboptimal lane yourself as well, like to the open lane. Otherwise, you know, you're both going to lose a bunch of farm and lose a lot of tempo. It's just not ideal. The best you can hope for at that point is that your teammate on the other side of the map then will rotate down for the objective that is spawning, and then it just becomes a 5v5 team fight. Assuming you want to fight the objective. Here Quinn tries to mess with us, but we're just so much stronger than her that she's really not allowed to, even though our E was on cooldown. And Zed actually comes in for a play here. I flash onto the Lux here. Zed manages to finish her off. Zed has a shadow to re-engage here, right? So I should actually just keep beating on this Diana to drop her as low as possible. Zed gets the Quinn. I jump onto the Caitlyn here because I'm out of range for the Diana. Walk around the trap, re-engage on her with the Q. Our Q's on such a short cooldown right now because of the Spear of Shojin, the Frozen Heart, all this ability haste we have, right? So we managed to get a bunch of picks and then managed to get some towers and an inhibitor. Unfortunately, Aurelia is here, so we need to get out of here, honestly. Like, we're going to lose this fight, we need to try to disengage. So use our counter-strike to limit damage, ward hop over the wall, and somehow we managed to get out of that, actually. So, sell the D-Shield, get Sterix components. Now, I'm going Sterix this game because it's just a good item overall, but also I want some survivability against the Diana without specifically building for her, right? Because the Diana is strong, and the Diana does damage, right? But the Diana isn't really focusing me in the fights. so I don't really want to build for her. So we go down here. I was still pushing top lane there, by the way, because Dragon and Baron were both like were both up. If both objectives are up, the next objective to be contested is usually going to be Dragon because it's easier to contest, right? So you want to split push on the Baron side of the map. So here, fight breaks out, but we don't have our Jhin here. Zed gets caught early, so we actually want to get out of here as fast as possible. I'm blinded, but I can't, so I can't ward hop, but I want to. I managed to get out though, because of the sheer tankiness from my Sterix and my Frozen Heart, right? So run top lane over here. Zed goes for the Quinn, that's fine. Shove the next wave in as well. Now we're trying to... Now, we're applying top lane pressure here, but the thing is, our team's not in position to be able to take advantage of it, so I'm overextending a bit here, to be honest. I take the fight in the Diana here, but... I take the fight in the Diana there, but I shouldn't have because, you know, Quinn was there. It's fine, we don't die, but my team can't use that pressure because they weren't in position, right? If you're split pushing, you need to make sure that your team is in position to be able to use that pressure that you're applying, right? If they come 3-man you. So here a team fight breaks out. We use our counter strike as a damage reduction tool and also to try to lock Aurelia into the Echo W. We disengage from the Caitlyn until our E comes back. Now we disengage again as our E wears off. We're hovering and waiting until our E comes back and we re-engage. Unfortunately, and we'd like to Q out as soon as our E wears off, but we got hit by the Lux route, so we couldn't disengage there, unfortunately. And we just kind of get run over in this team fight. But that's how you want to try to play front to backs if you can. Walk in when you have your E up so that their ADC can't do damage to you. And then when the E wears off, you Q out again. You Q out and then you re-engage onto their front line and then you Q out. And you try to do that as many times as you can. Assuming it's just a straight front to back scenario like that was. So we have to get down to the Dragon here. We're on a very short timer. Caitlyn actually turns the corner into us to headshot the Echo. And we can actually maybe see if we can get something done. They get Soul here, which is obviously not ideal. Use our counter strike to limit some damage, get hit by the Aurelia stun. We're just trying to get out here at this point. Echo actually just comes in and just one-shots the Caitlyn. You know, if he can do that a few more times, then these fights are going to be super easy. And Quinn just face checks us as well. So they're trolling a little bit, actually. Two of them just die for free there. So we can actually apply pressure right now. So we just shove the side wave in here while my team pushes mid. And honestly, Aurelia comes in to make a play. I dodge the Aurelia E and the Lux Q. And they're trying to make a play on me when we have mid prio. So they can see my team was mid. They could see my team was mid. So they're just kind of trolling here by trying to make this play on me. Like, honestly, this was so bad by them. So they just kind of chain int a little bit. Unfortunately, Zed just gets popped by the Caitlyn. Like, oh my goodness. Good cripes. Diana goes in. We all start focusing her. We get the other inhibitor here. And Echo just gets popped by the Caitlyn as well. So here, right, I want to EQ onto the Caitlyn, and then flash release the stun after she E's. And that's exactly what happened, right? And yeah, we get the other Nexus tower, we get the Nexus, and that's that. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope to see you in the next one.